One attorney says there is nothing in law called an indemnity agreement. During a news conference hosted by the opposition UNC today, the attorney said only the Director of Public Prosecutions via an Act of Parliament has the authority to sign off on any plea bargaining. This as the UNC is taking note of the silence of attorneys involved in the matter of Vincent Nelson's claim against the state for an alleged breach of an indemnity agreement. Jules Brown reports.
Attorney Taklal Singh joined Naparima MP Rodney Charles for the opposition's media conference on Wednesday to address the ongoing scandal surrounding the claim King's Counsel Vincent Nelson has filed against the Attorney General for an alleged breach of an indemnity agreement.
There is nothing in law called indemnity discussions or indemnity bargaining. If I am wrong, I want to see somebody tell me that tomorrow. There is nothing in law called indemnity bargaining. What that was is that you were trespassing on the functions of the DPP, who by act of parliament has the authority to engage in plea bargaining.
An apparent reference to the 2017 Criminal Procedure, Plea Discussion and Plea Agreement Act, which states a prosecutor shall not enter into a plea discussion or conclude a plea agreement unless the prosecutor first obtains the written permission of the Director of Public Prosecutions. The Act further says no improper inducement shall be used to encourage an accused person or suspect to participate in a plea discussion or conclude a plea agreement.
What is plea bargaining in short? When a witness or when a defendant wishes to plead guilty and give evidence. Who does that remind you of?
The Director of Public Prosecutions, Senior Counsel Roger Gaspard, discontinued criminal charges against Senior Counsel and former Attorney General Anand Logan and former Opposition Senator Gerald Ramdeen, noting that Mr. Nelson has refused to give evidence until his civil claim against the Attorney General is completed. In March 2020, the Express newspaper reported that fines totaling $2.25 million had been imposed on Mr. Nelson after he pleaded guilty in June of 2019 to 2 corruption charges.
It must be understood by the population that once you accept that the DPP and the DPP alone is in charge of criminal prosecutions, the function of plea bargaining is solely a responsibility of the DPP and no one else.
Last week, Rural Development and Local Government Minister Faris Al-Rawi said during a news conference that he did not advise himself while he was Attorney General with regard to the indemnity agreement between the state and Mr. Nelson. Mr. Al-Rawi also said that Senior Counsel Douglas Mendez specifically settled a written indemnity agreement.
Whenever Mr. Nelson, I don't know what happened, but whenever Mr. Nelson showed up at Cabildo Chambers, the only advice and the only discussion the then Attorney General should have said was, sir, please go a few doors down to Mr. Roger Gaspard, SC, and have a discussion with him. The only opinion and advice that the Attorney General should have been given is that, sir, you ought not to be engaged in drafting any agreement with Mr. Nelson. I say that with all due respect to any other lawyer who would have given advice.
MP Charles spoke about what he identified as the removal of legal services from the public procurement legislation.
We have to ask, was this done to ensure that they had a free rein to enter into improper, costly legal arrangements with Nelson? Or was it merely to buy the loyalty of a grap of Port of Spain senior counsels? Just asking for a friend.
Expressing his anger, Mr. Taklal Singh said the matter goes beyond the issue of the indemnity agreement as he referenced Wednesday's Express newspaper article that attorneys in the Nelson matter are being silent.
Silence is the tool of a dictator and the companion to oppression. And what we have in this country is bellowing silence. Bellowing silence. The Prime Minister is silent. The Cabinet is silent. The judiciary is silent. Civil society is silent. And today, why I am here is because we now have an allegation or a comment, and a very well-supported comment by a major newspapers in this country, that lawyers in this country are silent.
Both Mr. Taklal Singh and MP Charles called on the Law Association and the civil society groups to state their positions on the Nelson matter. Jules Brown, TV6 News.